Good morning and welcome to the Meridian Crushing the 5 Barriers to Growth webinar. We appreciate your participation this morning. Meridian is doing a series of webinars in 2018 and watch for upcoming sessions and topics that will include insights on dynamics in technology and their impact on business and business processes. We'll be including webinars that will introduce you to partners of NetSuite and of Meridian that will dovetail into those insights on technological dynamics, and from time to time include some tips and tricks in and around the NetSuite product portfolios. Meridian is proud to be a NetSuite partner. It's our sole focus of our cloud ERP practice and has been for going on 15 years. We have grown and are growing the team to help organizations like you optimize your business processes and crush your own barriers to growth. So with that as a brief preamble and introduction, I'll turn it over to Eric Levy, who's going to take you through today's content. And if there are questions or comments along the way, don't hesitate to ask. So, Eric, no further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Doug, and appreciate everybody joining us today. As Doug mentioned, there is a chat window, and you can feel free to ask questions in the chat window. We will be monitoring that throughout the WebEx and able to answer those as any questions come through. We've really broken the 5 barriers to business growth into 5 areas that we're hearing in the challenge. These are what we've heard from customers and organizations that we're meeting with out in the marketplace. And those 5 barriers, we're going to dive into each one of these in more detail to outline those 5 barriers. The first one is it's difficult to really find out what's happening across the business in real time, seeing real-time metrics and seeing analytics about the organization. The second one is that there are too many manual processes for entering and reconciling the data across a multitude of systems within an organization. The third area that we continually hear, being a CPA firm, continually hear from clients and small and mid-sized businesses in the area are that accounting is really being done outside the financial system. That a lot of accounting is done in Excel or in other types of systems rather than using a core financial management system for accounting. Then the fourth area is that sales are lost because the sales team and customer service and other employees can't get information where it is needed fast enough. They can't get access to that information that can make or break a sale. And really the fifth area that we're going to dive into during today's conversation is that organizations are spending way too much time worrying about technology instead of really focusing on the business results that technology provides. To set the stage in terms of the challenges of with some actual data from small and mid-sized businesses, these are the areas that there's a recent study done that identified areas that small and mid-sized businesses are seeing the biggest challenge. And those areas are hiring the right people, using the right technologies, and really, employing data protection, security is another one, and growing the sales force. So the top one, I think, hiring the right people relates to having the right technologies. An example that I commonly use is that employees want to utilize the latest technology and have the right technologies in place to help them do their job. You wouldn't expect for a salesperson to be using a bag phone, or if a salesperson was given a bag phone, they probably wouldn't last too long in the job when the competition is using a modern iPhone. And so having the right technology to support your team is extremely important, and that helps to build out the right team as well, because high-quality individuals want to work with an organization that's really going to support their growth as well with the right technology. So technology really can make a small business agile and competitive. There was a Gartner, who does a lot of studies and industry analysis across a variety of industries, recently coined the term the nexus of forces, which is the combination of cloud, data, social, and mobile, giving small businesses the chance to invest in powerful technology to make them agile. So the exciting part is, although there are a lot of challenges to small businesses, what's really exciting for small businesses is that when the technology is used properly, small businesses can build a customer experience and have business agility that allows them to compete against larger organizations.
This is where you see the advent of what many folks have dubbed the digital disruptors, organizations coming from outside an industry into an industry and taking over because they're leveraging technology in this fashion, grasping these nexus of forces to their own advantage.
Thanks, Doug. That's an excellent point. And I think that one thing to dovetail to that, though, is that small businesses don't always have to create that new technology. There's a lot of technologies out there, and they don't necessarily have to start a entirely new business model. They just have to do it better than others and utilize technology, leverage that technology and data to do it better than others. So it brings us to the first point of the challenges that we see in the marketplace, which is business visibility. We hear time and time again from the executive leadership in an organization that it's difficult to really see what's happening across the business in real time. We're talking more than just a monthly report that's handed out, really seeing that visibility on a daily or even hourly basis to have a full understanding of what's happening in the business. So symptoms of limited business visibility is, my favorite is that team members are wasting time playing hunt for the spreadsheet. Another example of that might be the old example of a copy of a copy of a copy of a spreadsheet, where spreadsheets are being passed around for critical business functions, and there are so many copies that are going around that it's hard to really track back to the original one and know what data is accurate in those spreadsheets. I'm sure you've heard the phrase that I've seen anywhere from 50 to 80% of Excel spreadsheets have an error in them somewhere. So another area is that, brings us to the second point of that management reports are error-prone and out of date. Comes back to that errors in Excel spreadsheets. Reports are taking way too long to run. They're not automated. And then it's really impossible to get a comprehensive view across all the business units. These are just some of the symptoms of challenges in business visibility, but of course there are additional ones as well. So the way that we look at it is that business intelligence should be at the core of your operating system. You've probably heard about business intelligence. It can be a little bit of a buzzword, but what does it really mean? It means the ability to see what's happening on across an organization, and also for individuals to see what's happening that will impact their role and help them drive their day. So it's getting access to critical data that can impact decision-making when and where you want it. So across a variety of devices, whether it's a cell phone, a tablet, or a desktop computer, having access to that data is critical in today's world. And I mentioned this on the previous slide, but I want to just really reiterate this point, is that it's important that that data is tailored to a specific individual's role. So a shipping manager or a warehouse worker is going to have very different data that they're looking at than the CEO. They're not going to be looking at the financials, but there's certainly a set of data that can help them drive their day, whether it's packages that need to be received or shipments that need to go out. So having a system that is tailored to each of the individual roles in the organization and provides out-of-the-box components for those roles is really important. So predefined roles and predefined dashboards that are part of that business operating system to help the users on manage their day-to-day tasks, in addition to seeing the big picture of data. So here's how that looks in the real world. This is the NetSuite platform that we do a lot of work with. In this case, we're logged into the NetSuite platform as a senior executive, and on our dashboard, we have key KPIs, key performance indicators like income, sales, and profit that are right at the top. I'll show on the next screen how we can drill into any of this data as well. And then you'll notice that each of the roles has reminders, which we'll talk more about. So also the ability to have graphs and other information. A key point that I'll make is that all of these screens are out of the box in the NetSuite platform, tailored to these different roles. So in the project management role, we are looking at, maybe it's charges on hold or hours that I need to approve, and then we have a list of the projects that are in flight and billing as well. So this is for a project management organization. If we are a inventory organization and I'm an inventory manager, I have the ability to see inventory I have on hand, orders and sales. We can manage POs, etc. So in this case, this type of system that we're looking at is for, would be ideal for an IT company that maybe has inventory and projects. But really, as we look across any company, these roles can be tailored to the individuals in the company, whether it's a company that focuses on inventory, like a retail or wholesale distribution company, whether it's a organization that has a services business, like a professional services or project management business, such as the case that we looked at with the professional services role, or a variety of other business models, like software companies commonly use this platform as well. Another role that we have that's really important is the sales role. So as a sales representative, being able to see my new leads, my sales opportunities that are open, create opportunities, enter sales orders, really manage my day, and even see what inventory is availability if we were in a inventory-heavy organization. And the last role I'll talk about, or we talked about the senior executive already. What I want to do now is talk about the drill down capabilities. So from any one of those dashboards, we have the ability to click on a data point, such as this data point here, and drill into the underlying data. Now, why this is important, because just getting a report with a number doesn't tell the whole story. There might be a question about, well, why is this number larger than last month? Did we, have a large customer order that came in? So on any of these data points, being able to drill all the way down to the underlying transaction level and see the underlying invoice. So one of the things I'll mention is that I've talked a lot about the NetSuite platform. We look at it as a business operating system in this case. And with the case of the NetSuite platform, it not only has the business intelligence and all this data, but it encompasses all the business processes. So it actually is managing the financials, it's managing the CRM, customer service, and sales. It is a one-stop shop. So oftentimes a replacement for a system like QuickBooks for financials, maybe a system like Salesforce or Zoho for CRM, another system for marketing automation. We've had clients that we've replaced 17 different systems with NetSuite's one unified platform, bringing all that data together in one system and allowing all the individuals in an organization to work together on one platform.
So that simplification and consolidation truly gives each of those roles the ability to do their job in a management by exception role by surfacing the data that's critical to them, and organization-wide save you time and money because all of those components and business processes are linked together.
Exactly. The second area that the challenge that we see in small to mid-sized businesses is that there are a lot of manual processes. So maybe across each one of those different systems or departments that we just talked about, they're entering data and reconciling data across a variety of different systems, which makes it really challenging to manage those systems and the data associated with that, and also leads to just a lot of manual processes in an organization that wastes time and money. So why is it important to improve manual processes? The first area is that it streamlines communication. So, you know, emails, sticky notes, even those conversations around the water cooler are, you know, great ways to discuss this short-term task, but really they're terrible for organization and collaboration. So automated workflows enable your teams to huddle together around individual items and see the status of those items in flight. So the second one is enforcing accountability. When you automate your workflow, you create an owner for each step of the process, so everybody knows who has the ball during each step of the process and has ownership of those steps. The third one is minimizing costs and manual errors. So by substituting really the human factor, which is the vulnerabilities, the accuracy of a machine, you bypass the extensive costs associated with manual errors and inefficiencies. So late payments, slow sales approvals, and payments for goods never received are really expensive errors. And automating those tasks can reduce administrative labor costs in addition to reducing errors as well. Fourth area is that an automated system not only lets you see the status of any individual item, it also gives you kind of a bird's eye view of the whole system. So imagine, you know, what you could do with several months of data from an automated system. The fifth area is really having an established and clear approval hierarchy. So when you create custom workflows, you can assign approval responsibilities to anyone in the organization. You can have a busy supervisor, let's say, that doesn't need to be notified of every step and task, unless they prefer, of course, but it can also keep tabs on where that is and then manage by exception, which Doug mentioned earlier. So when there is an exception to the process or someone needs to surface, that can be surfaced on our manager's dashboard.
It goes beyond just human interaction in an approval process. You can also, in these modern systems, invoke processes that launch a process independent, like issuing a PO when an inventory level hits a certain replenishment level, as an example. So triggers can be set to automate processes that keep you running efficiently.
Exactly. And so these are just a few of the workflows that can be put into place to improve manual processes, but literally there's thousands. You know, every time we work with an organization, we see several different new workflows that, you know, that pop up that are specific to their business processes. So purchase approval workflows, you know, sales order approval workflows, three-way match, which we tend to see in larger wholesale distribution or retail, anywhere where there's a lot of inventory, which is matching the quantity and prices on the purchase order to the item receipt to what was actually billed from the vendor. And then in a professional services firm like ours, or really any type of professional services firm, project scoping can be another workflow. So from a sales standpoint, the sales team goes out and you know, finds a opportunity, somebody that's interested in their services. There's an ability to have in a workflow to hand that off to the services team to actually determine the level of effort it will take to provide those services. And so having a clear handoff and then a hand back as well. So we talk about when project scoping. So in a modern platform, the ability to create those business processes and manage them and then change them as well, have that agility to change business processes easily through a visual workflow editor is critical in a modern platform. So being able to actually, you know, see those workflow processes and make changes to those workflow processes.
Yeah, because what we see, you know, the regulatory landscape, the new tax laws, you know, really are forcing business processes to change, similar to what we've seen in the, you know, Moore's Law, you know, around microprocessor speed. I would argue that business processes are changing and forcing adaptation by all sizes of businesses at an increasing rate. regulatory requirements in, the medical field, electronic medical records, are requirements in that industry. Just the audit trail and the compliance level of the information you're required to capture about all your customer and business interactions, force you to have a world-class workflow tool to be able to adapt your business processes at warp speed. And NetSuite, for one, supports the ability for you to do that in a self-sufficient environment.
So the next area that we'll talk about along the same lines of workflow and business processes is really just task management and the ability to drive an individual team member's day, or even someone on the management level, their day, by seeing reminders and seeing tasks that need to be completed as the handoff takes place, perhaps between different departments, or there are different requirements in that workflow for to get done. So with a modern system like NetSuite, we're able to have reminders. You probably saw it on the dashboard. There's a little window in the upper left that had reminders, and each individual, each role within the organization having reminders that drive their day. So the set of reminders such as receiving or fulfilling orders for a warehouse manager would be different for those in sales operations, which is looking at opportunities and sales orders to approve. And on the project management side, once again, a different set of reminders about the projects that need, scoping, let's say, or time to approve on projects. And then from a senior executive or management level, once again, those might be, those reminders could be different as well. So looking at exceptions with bookings less than 15%, gross profit. So having a reminder to take a look at those sales that, maybe need a second analysis because of the low margins.
What these really do is allow each of the leaders in those functional roles to, focus their energies and time and attention on what moves the needle for their individual businesses without drilling through, multiple rows and columns or digging through spreadsheets, as Eric mentioned, to focus their energy on what needs to be done to achieve results for the organization.
So Splunk is a very fast-growing data company that happens to run all their businesses on one unified system, which is NetSuite. And their CIO said that having that one system to allow to spend time drilling into the data and analyzing the data rather than copying and trying to manage the different systems really provided an edge for their organization. So what we're seeing in the marketplace is that the IT role is really shifting to a strategic role versus a traditional break, fix, or hardware role, being able to help analyze that data and help the business units provide agility in those workflow processes versus traditional break, fix, or basic reporting capabilities, now allowing end users to take off some of that.
It's software as a service. It's not keeping the lights on and just making sure the power button is on the server. It's truly using the technology as a utility.
So we also, the third area is hearing there's accounting challenges. So the most common one is that more accounting is done outside the financial system than in it. So we see that a lot with organizations using QuickBooks or legacy applications. Finance staff members are using several different applications to do their job. It's difficult to add new sales channels or product lines because you have to add that to the accounting system, to the CRM system, to the web, e-commerce, to all these different systems, and make sure all those different systems are in sync. It's also the challenge of adapting quick enough to changing business conditions, changing regulatory requirements. And those are the symptoms that we see of accounting challenges. So why consider an integrated accounting platform? One financial system an integrated financial system is able to automate tasks across the business instead of just having a financial system that was designed to only do accounting. So when you have accounting integrated with CRM, with e-commerce, with the warehouse fulfillment, when all of that exists in one business system, it streamlines the information and allows accounting to easily hand off information between the different departments and get a much better view of the organization.
We talk about this in terms of being, aspiring to have a single system of record, and really that's the customer and contact information, your item level information, or an order level information in one single place to fulfill the sales end of the business, your physical supply chain, or your project, or project execution chain, and and the accounting then that goes along with each of those. And when those are bolt-on systems and that connectivity breaks down, you start seeing the advent of the entry of Excel into the process, and then your data is delayed and inaccurate and starts throwing up those barriers to growth.
So it's really that last sentence there, rather than having a system, or as businesses grow, they have to adapt their processes to fit the application rather than having a system that's scalable and will accommodate growth. So having one unified system provides scalability and adaptability to support the growth. We've mentioned, regulatory changes, the challenges that organizations are seeing, whether it's the new, regulatory requirements around ASC 606, its changes in, and HR, the need for audit trails on the financial side, better financial control. So once you come back to that approvals process, or if it's a accounting department with multiple people working out of the accounting system, having those audit trails and controls over who can change what information in the accounting system, and not to mention the tax laws and compliance, and just day-to-day changes based on the regulatory compliance.
The segmentation of duties that comes with those audit trails, who's done what, to whom, when, and who's been in the system and doing, each individual business process. Meridian as a CPA firm, can tell you that auditors love systems like this that help provide command and control and really an audit trail and a record of what's happened in the organization. The business discipline that it invokes is a very much an asset, when it comes to the auditability of your business.
The other area that we're seeing as well as that's being impacted is the shift to a contingent workforce. So whether it's is part-time, it's outsourced workforce, and really managing all the HR between internal employees and external contractors and resources as well.
As we move to the gig economy, this becomes more and more important, in terms of who's operating in your business, and being able to truly track that and giving them access to the system of record and being able to control those roles and responsibilities that they're given as they enter and exit your organization.
So having a unified platform that brings together the HR functionality as well, even things like expense management, not having to have that in a separate system, having that integrated in right into the core accounting system can save organizations a lot of time and money and improve approval processes with expense management. It's just one example. So the fourth area that we have identified and have heard on a recurring basis from organizations, small and mid-sized businesses, is that sales are lost because employees can't get information fast enough. That whether it's a sales person having access to the right information, the right pricing data, customer service, seeing the status of an order, it really is about the customer experience and improving the customer, having a strong customer experience. So symptoms of poor sales team access is that, like I mentioned, the customer service agents don't have up-to-date information. Maybe it's stock levels in an inventory business are not where the customers want them. Customers and vendors don't have access to self-service information. So we talk a lot about in our business with organizations about e-commerce, but e-commerce can take on a lot of different looks as well. It may not be just a traditional website platform, but it might be a way to enable customers or vendors to see information, to share information, and really improving the customer experience. And the last one is that customer information can't be easily collected and filtered for sales campaigns and for finding customer visibility. Once again, it comes back to that business intelligence of being able to identify customers that might have an upsell opportunity, or maybe it's customers that sales are falling off and need some extra attention.
Likewise, as if you have an inside or an outside sales organization, identifying what your customers are doing through alternate channels, be it the web, what their current status is. Are they current on their payables, or do we know that they bought 1,500 widgets through the website last week before we go ask for more? Having that level of visibility, in terms of a barrier, the lack thereof can be a detriment to making that next sale.
So a very large part of the conversations we're having with organizations is around customer experience and customer expectations. We call it the Amazon and the Google effect, and customers are expecting a world-class customer experience. There's been a big shift in that customer experience, both traditional and digital, from companies of all sizes. So e-commerce has set the standard for customers. It's the Amazon effect, having very easy access to ordering. They set the bar 15 years ago with one click, and having also item availability in stock at a low price. So customers are expecting those real-time stock levels, delivery confirmation, and on-time deliveries, and knowing that delivery confirmation when they place their order. And the ability to call customer service is another example. Maybe a couple minutes after placing an order and add an extra line item. Those are all, examples, just a few examples of really what customers are expecting from, that Amazon-like customer experience that we talk about so much. And so we call it the Amazon and Google effect because when a customer's expectations aren't met, it's easy for a customer to Google and quickly find a new business to replace the organization that we're working with.
And the digital disruptors that are coming into new markets are coming in, starting at, this is the baseline or, the minimum level of expectation. It's what the entire, retail grocery marketplace is dealing with Amazon's takeover of Whole Foods, shaking up an entire industry. Back to that process agility and being able to adapt and rapidly adjust business processes to, outside threats or impacts to the status quo of the way business is conducted today.
And so that's what I was mentioning there, the Google effect at the end. So when the customer's expectations aren't met, it's easy for a customer to quickly find a new business via Google.
Or new sales channel.
Sure. Yeah, new sales channel. So customers don't live across multiple systems. Why should the customer data live across those systems? And that customer data takes the place place of really the customer master, or we traditionally think of as the CRM record, but it's also abandoned cart and website session analytics. It also goes through to their items of seeing, the items that they ordered and the orders. Having all of those data pieces from the customer master to the item master to the order master and one unified system. So in terms of an inventory business, maybe it's somebody calls in and has a question on a product. The customer service being able to see the specifications about that product right out of the same system that they're placing the order out of, instead of having to go to a separate PIM or manage those products in 2 different systems. The same with the order, being able to see the full order fulfillment status.
And seamlessly hand that customer off if the handoff is required without forcing the customer to repeat business or repeat their information. You know, case in point here, a classic example is you call to report a problem with your you know, cable box or DVR, and you give them you know, name, rank, and serial number, and then they, you know, finally agree to get you a human to take care of you, and the first thing they ask is for all that information over again. That's forcing the customers to live across multiple systems, and not optimal, a barrier to growth.
So the type of systems that we typically see that customer data living across is the accounting system, a CRM or Salesforce automation system, a marketing automation system for email marketing, you know, website and e-commerce. The list goes on. So having one consolidated place for all that customer data to exist that the whole organization is working off of. The 5th area in our discussion on crushing the barriers to business growth is technology challenges. So we hear from a lot of organizations that they're spending too much time worrying about technology instead of really focusing on the business results. And once again, it comes back to the comment earlier that there's a shift taking place in technology in IT to being a more strategic thought leader in the organization than traditional break fix. So we look at, oftentimes see when we start working with an organization that there is a hairball of systems. You know, there's all of these integrated systems, from one like Great Plains for accounting, another one like Salesforce for CRM, yet another one for e-commerce, and maybe support is being done out of Excel. And once again, that electronic spaghetti drives massive costs, and then once it's implemented, nobody wants to touch it, because changing any one of those, upgrading the accounting system, could break the integrations with the other systems. So then you end up with version lock systems that aren't upgraded for 5, 10, seen some of them even 15, 20 years. And when you end up with the Amazon and Google, you end up with the Amazon and Google effect, having a very negative impact on your business, because it can't adapt fast enough, and in the end, your business gets killed because of the inability to adapt to the changing marketplace.
But every one of those red lines has represented job security for IT professionals. Their role is shifting to, you know, providing tools and utility that allow you to manage your business by exception and create analysis to move the business forward.
And which really dovetails right into the, you know, what's successful in an IT organization in today's business climate. That's being able to provide timely information and insights, you know, real-time business performance and metrics, role-based dashboards like we talked about. The ability to provide reports with accuracy and self-service reporting is huge, allowing the business users, the power users, to create their own business reports without being dependent on somebody else to create those business reports or make small tweaks to those reports. Having defined business processes and discipline. Can't harp on this one enough, but utilizing software that allows for business process definition, you know, once again, those no-code workflow tools or graphical workflow tools like we showed, but having the agility in those tools to make changes as well, that they're not rigid and that business processes don't have to be set in stone. They're so difficult to change that they never get changed. And then the last important point to really, and helps drive home, is having a central source for the truth. So unlocking access to all of that business data, combining sales, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, shipping, project management, e-commerce, the list goes on, all into one unified system, provides relational visibility to that data like an organization has never seen before. So you might be familiar with Glassdoor, the
recruitment website.
Yeah. And they, you know, like their VP of Finance said, they want to invest in streamlining operations and growing the business, not growing the IT infrastructure. And they've seen tremendous growth, 5 times the transaction volume without adding additional staff, and reducing the monthly close as well. Really, these reasons are why Meridian Business Services works with the NetSuite platform. So we've talked, you know, throughout today's conversation, we've shown some screens from the NetSuite platform. The idea, once again, is having a platform, a business operating system that your whole organization is running from. Bringing everybody together on the same page, real-time data, deep analytics across the organization, and providing that level of business intelligence like an organization hasn't seen before. The reason that we, you know, that we chose to work with NetSuite, there are, you know, of course, other business operating systems out there. And generally, they're called ERP, mid-market ERP systems. In this case, is that NetSuite was, you know, is commonly been named a top ERP. This is by IDC, an analyst firm that evaluated the mid-market ERP landscape, specifically looking at cloud-enabled ERPs. And NetSuite was the leader. You can see here in 2017, the bubble shows their growth compared to other ERP systems, tremendous growth as well. And a big part of that, IDC identified that NetSuite really holds an edge over the competition, and that all these modules, all these, you know, the ERP modules, the business functions, run in a single database instead of, in a single code base instead of being spread out amongst multiple bolt-on systems that make it hard to manage across those business functions. And really that results, and we've alluded to some of these, here are the actual results that customers have seen. This is done by a third party, SL Associates, on the results that organizations have seen in moving to NetSuite. So 40 to 70% reduction in financial close, you know, reduction in invoicing costs, 10 to 20% improvement in days sales outstanding. We talked a lot about the business visibility, 50 to 80% increase in that 360-degree business visibility, whether it's across the customer, across items in inventory, across projects, having that business visibility. And then the last one is a 45 to 75% reduction in IT costs because you don't have all those red lines trying to try to get it.
Eliminate the electronic hairball and it will lower your IT costs.
Exactly. So we really appreciate everybody's time today. You know, if you have additional questions, we're here. We'd be happy to share additional details on the NetSuite platform and just how we engage in organizations on improving the data visibility, improving business processes. You can reach us at sales@meridianbusiness.com or at 1-866-561-1484. And we hope you'll join us for our next webinar, which is Taming the Paper Monster, Trends and Values in Document Management Optimization. DocuPeek will be talking about AP automation, enterprise content management, document management, and streamlining paper processes with modern scanning technology, OCR technology, et cetera. So we're definitely looking forward to that on March 20th at 11 a.m. Once again, really appreciate your time joining us, and we hope to hear from you.
Thank you very much.